All right, welcome back to another episode of the Extreme Lifestyle Living Podcast. Today is Sunday, November 16th. As I'm recording this episode, I've been super busy. Had a couple friends and family fly to Mexico, and they've been visiting. This is the first week that I've had in about the last 2 weeks that wasn't slammed with just friends and family and just hanging out and doing random things. And I am very grateful for them to come back or come by and, hang out and do much different things and go to a beach club, go to a cenote and a couple of dinners and things like that and spend our time together. But my God, am I ever excited to just relock in my own routine, And the reason why I'm saying this Sunday on November 16th is because 2.5 weeks to the day, me and Em are flying home for Christmas. December 4th, we'll be flying home. And it's just crazy. It feels like just yesterday that we moved here. We moved here. We got here. Official date was August 11th, and it's going to be December 11th just by the time we get home situated. So August to September, October to November, November, December. So practically full fucking months. And, at the end of the day, like coming home so soon, it makes it seem as if like it was a very short trip. But then at the same time, it feels like we've been here for fucking years. And it's absolutely incredible to see just the growth that we've had individually, we've had together, just being here. And, it's just crazy to see that, we're going to be home before we fucking know it. And it's just funny because it's crazy to reflect on that. And, I do miss home a lot, but, again, that's a topic for another conversation, but I'll get into those types of things down the road. But today what I wanted to talk about is anxiety and how to deal with it, because every single one of us experiences anxiety on some level. Some of us have it worse than others. Some of us have experienced it very little. But anxiety comes in all ways, shapes, and forms. Some of us have general anxiety disorders, and I don't even like the labels that they put on these things because, if I take a step back and talk about mental health and mindset in general, anything that someone told you as a doctor that you have from a depression, anxiety, OCD, any type of mental health, quote unquote, adversity, it's a label. Do you know what I mean? And it's just like it's meant to put you in a box and make you feel as if you're not. I don't know. I don't want to label it that way, kind of like contradict myself and say it's a label. But, anything that you've been defined as is just a definition, like I could be looked at as crazy for the way that I take care of my health and fitness. I could be looked at as crazy for the way that I'm an entrepreneur, run my business, so that these are labels. And the reason why I'm saying it this way is because I've been diagnosed with a generalized anxiety disorder. I have been diagnosed with social anxiety disorder. And just a few other things as well that's related to anxiety. And I hate that when we feel labeled by it, there's always just such a negative feels like the negative consequence with it. It feels like we're put in a box and we're not meant to like operate as optimally as we feel. Do you know what I mean? So we feel like we got a deficiency is kind of the way I'm trying to explain that. And the reason why I'm saying that, it's just a label at the end of the day is because how we operate and how we are as humans, we can't change. You know what I mean? We can operate from a different position and understand who we are better. We can understand what makes us tick and why we tick certain ways and everything in that regard. But, to put ourselves in a box and label ourselves certain ways it's just beneath us, And I want to say that first and foremost because anxiety, in my opinion, is a super fucking power. Anxiety just means you super give a fuck. You super care. Maybe you care too much where it's, hindering the quality of your life. Whether it's a social construct and you have social anxiety and can't be around a bunch of people, whether it's just general anxiety and you're kind of running rampant with your anxiety and you feel anxious all the time, or whether it's just like random different stress factors that amplify your anxiety. Anxiety is a superpower. Like prime example, like the biggest thing with generalized anxiety is you're anxious all the time, and the biggest thing with being anxious all the time is just you need something that can help you feel grounded. You just need something to help you make you feel in control. And there's nothing wrong with that. For you to be stressed out all the time and overthinking all these different things, like that's a very positive attribute because you don't want to be the complete opposite. Don't think of nothing. Be like a brain dead fucking idiot. You know what I mean? And there's actually tons of studies that show like the most intelligent people in the world have anxiety. And the reason why that is because they are just high functioning people. But sometimes that high functioning abilities, the anxiety and everything that comes with it, the characteristics and the traits, come at the expense of our quality of health. So we got to learn how to deal with them. We got to learn how to adapt. And the biggest thing that I've learned about anxiety is once you understand how it affects you, and once you understand what you need to do to control it, it's a fucking superpower. And I'm going to give you a few examples. So number one, like I said, I was diagnosed with anxiety disorder. So I was labeled 16, 17 years old with anxiety disorder and social constructs where I couldn't go outside in the public because I had so much anxiety. And now I'm running a fucking podcast with an online community, posting on Instagram all the time. Like, it's crazy. And even me saying that out loud during this podcast makes me realize the growth that I've had within the own labels that I've been given. Because like I said, the labels almost make us feel like we have a deficiency, like we're not good enough as humans. But at the end of the day, the reason why I'm so articulate and, yeah, sure, I run rampant and go crazy and, maybe go off these tangents and, maybe have some energy that some people don't mesh with. But then the people that don't mesh with my energy, those aren't my people. So you know what I mean? Just like people that aren't anxious and don't know how to use anxiety as a superpower aren't your people. Like, anxiety has helped me build my business, helped me understand people on another level. Do you know, like, the biggest thing with me being anxious means I'm very thorough. It means I care. Like, from a business standpoint, working with communities and clients and being there for people to help them, like, serve not only just the fitness level, but like, their mindset. I can understand where they're coming from. It's that difference between sympathy and empathy. When you understand anxiety, it's never going to take away the stress that it brings. Sometimes it really is rough to deal with it. But when you know what you need and when you need it and how you need it, that's the best way you can deal with it. And prime example is your fitness goals and your lifestyle goals. Like, I'm not saying you got to be a bodybuilder or run high rocks or do anything crazy in terms of a fitness goal. But the biggest thing when it comes to fitness is you got to have some type of energy output to move the anxiety around. Because anxiety is just energy in your body that stems to just end up bleeding into your mindset, which creates stress, So you have to do something to move your body to shake out that stress. And that's not just anxiety related. That's everything related. That's mental health related in general, to feel clear. That's hormonal regulation, to feel good in terms of like how your body processes things on a molecular level. Like, there's so many different things I can get into, but anxiety is just one of those things that gets us in a chokehold sometimes. And, if you can gain to understand what you need, then you're going to build a foundation of understanding who you are as a person. So you got to have some type of thing in terms of movement, in terms of, some type of physical output. For me, the gym has always been the biggest thing that cured my anxiety, which is why I'm so regimented in the gym. I go 5 times a week and I don't fucking miss. I can't miss, because I know my anxiety will become bad. And it's not a version of me that I want to be anymore, right? So, you have to have some type of physical output when it comes to anxiety to get control of it. That's more of the way you define that is more of an outward expression in terms of, physical outward. You're actually doing something with your body and mind, if that makes sense. Then another thing with anxiety is you need inward expression as well. Like, we all have things we stress about, whether it's finances, whether it's retirement, whether it's relationship, whether it's our own inner thoughts and our own dialogue. So you need an inward expression as well, an inward activity. If the same way as your fitness is an outward physical, go to the gym or go on a walk or go for a bike ride or go for a run or do anything that's physically moving, you got to have something that's inward as well to help you control. That's why I'm big in journaling. Journaling is an inward expression where you can articulate your brain to control the patterns that your mind thinks in to help you regulate and control your anxiety. That's the biggest thing. Like, if you're not ingesting anything, either from a reading material or podcast material or something to kind of help you mold the way that you feel about your anxiety, and alongside that, you're not expressing your anxieties in another manner in terms of inward expression, whether it's writing and articulating yourself in that manner, then no wonder it's going to run rampant. No wonder your anxiety is always going to win, because you've got to find ways to control yourself. And again, yes, sure, we all wish, and I'm guilty of this as well, we all wish we could just sit there and just wish we never had these crazy ass thoughts, or, wish we weren't as stressed out in certain regards. And, maybe, like I said, like, be like those dull people that don't really think about certain things. But at the end of the day, that's going to change who you are as a person. And you never want to try to change who you are as a person as your identity. My anxiety is a big reason why I connect with my clients. My anxiety is a big reason why I can push so hard, because I know what I want out of life, because I've analyzed things to the fucking down to the T. So if you're not doing inward expression when it comes to journaling, and it doesn't have to be a journaling routine. Like, people kind of get caught up with journaling and think it has to be this crazy ass routine where it's like, you write 45 affirmations, you write 45 gratitude journal lists, and do all these crazy things that ends up becoming a spiritual fucking seance. And that's not anything relevant. It's the biggest thing is are you expressing yourself? There was actually a study that was done on a podcast that I was watching the other day with Emma, and it was Mel Robinson. She had a guest on her podcast, or she was a guest on another podcast, and she was talking about before you go to bed, people that have rough sleep patterns. And, I'm really researching my sleep patterns right now, because my sleep is horrible. Like, my sleep actually is atrocious. Last night I got a horrible sleep. I stayed up late to watch the UFC fights, and I got up early because Sundays I do a lot of work. And, I love what I do, don't get me wrong, but the lack of sleep gave me anxiety, and I feel some type of way about it, and I'm going to talk about that in a second. But she was talking about a study that was done. And she was talking about that there were studies done that if you write down everything that's on your mind, now obviously you don't sit there for fucking 2 hours and ruin your goddamn day, but the things like you're laying in bed, you're looking at the ceiling, you're like, oh, I forgot to do this today, or I should have done this today, or just thinking about random shit. If you write that down on a piece of paper and have it as a list of things that you know you need to think about or handle or deal with, there's been studies that have been proven to help you. If you do that, it helps you fall asleep 8 to 10 times faster. 8 to 10 times faster. So you think about the power that has of just brain dumping, getting everything that's in your mind that's causing you anxiety and making you anxious, putting on paper, just something as simple as that. It's not going to change the outcome of certain things. Let's say, for example, you're stressing about finances, or you're stressing about a relationship, or you're stressing about something you forgot to do that day. Write it down on a piece of paper, and then subconsciously you're going to think about not stressing about it while you're laying in bed because you know it's on a piece of paper. You're not going to forget about it. That's the thing with anxiety. Your anxiety creates more anxiety. So if you don't break it free from that loophole of that negative pattern, it's not going to change, right? And the study came out, and she was like 8 to 10 times falling asleep faster by writing on a piece of paper. And it's 10 times more likely to help you fall asleep than any type of sleep aid. So you think about the power of that because, the biggest thing with dealing with anxiety and any type of mental health, quote unquote, adversity is we wish there was a magic pill or something magical that could just like take it away. I know I felt that way. My anxiety being so bad where I can't leave the house and I can't go talk to people and, I feel like it's doomsday and I feel like I'm fucking dying every day. You almost would sell your soul to have something to just get rid of it all in those moments. And, sometimes we forget about the simplicity of just like trying to find out what works in those moments instead of being in a survival mode. And it's small things like brain dumping on a piece of paper before you go to bed to help you sleep. You know what I mean? But we'd much rather take any type of anti-anxiety medication, which has all kinds of other side effects. And again, like if you take these things, I'm not judging you. I'm not saying these aren't good things. But I think if you don't have certain things in check before you take those things, you're compensating. It's no different than, trying to outwork a bad diet. You can't outwork a bad mindset. You got to kind of get the foundation set in stone first before you start adding other layers to it. And if you do have struggle and have trouble to sleep, this is an easy way to control your anxiety that much better. And the fact that it was that much more powerful than a sleep aid is crazy. So imagine how much more powerful it would be if you had other processes set up in for your foundation in your day-to-day, week-to-week work or your life to control your anxiety, because at the end of the day, you're not going to get rid of your anxiety. When you feel stressed before a workout and let's say you're in the gym and you're about to do a new movement that you haven't done in a long time, or you're doing a new weight that you haven't done in a long time and you get nervous for it. Nervousness is fucking anxiety. If you get excited for something, that is a form of anxiety. So anxiety just isn't all negative. You know what I mean? So the biggest thing, another big thing with anxiety is the understanding how it actually physiologically affects you. Because again, like I said, the labels are what creates this negative idea with anxiety. It makes us feel some type of way about it. But if you know how to control from an inward expression, that's a huge way that's going to help you as well. So the two big variables to kind of reiterate, because I kind of went on a little bit of a rant about my own personal experiences, sharing them with you, is you got to have some type of physical output. Go to the gym, go for a run, go for a walk, move your body to kind of shake out the stress and anxiety. That's going to be a big form of anxiety control for you. And some type of inward control for your anxiety as well. You got to do reading, you got to do writing, you got to ingest things that are going to disrupt that pattern. Because if you get stuck with that negative pattern, you're going to be stuck like that forever. And then the third thing to help you stay in control of your anxiety and know what you need to do when you're experiencing it is some type of like recovery stress protocol. As much as this may sound, I don't want to say sound counterintuitive or counterproductive or spiritual or anything like that. Like if you have bad sleep, if you have a lot of stress in your life and you're not managing it, your anxiety is going to be amplified that much more. Do you know what I mean? And if that's happening in your life, when you have a lot of anxiety, let's say about finances or about a relationship or about your career or about your physical shape and you're not feeling proud of yourself, then when you put yourself in a position to get excited for something in your life, your body's just going to take that and run rampant with it, make it seem like it's a negative thing. Let's say it's I don't know why I'm thinking about this, but let's say it's a surprise birthday party. And you have a surprise birthday party and your birthday's coming up, people are going to celebrate you. And then all of a sudden you're hit with a surprise birthday party. You got 10, 15 people there. They're showing love for you, or your parents did something for you, or your partner, your best friends, or whoever it is does something for you. you're going to naturally get excited for someone showing love to you. You're going to naturally get excited that something's going on for you. And then if you aren't in control of your anxiety and all of your, like, let's say 85 to 95% of your patterns are routed with negative patterns with anxiety, then you're only going to subconsciously understand how to take that and express that negatively. So you're going to shut that shit down. And that's why a lot of people become shells of themselves, is because they don't know how to manage it. And that's the biggest thing we're talking about here, is managing anxiety, because you're never going to get rid of it. Like, anxiety is your superpower. It means you give a fuck. And I try, and like, when I have clients that I work with and I kind of hit them with that analogy, they have absolutely fucking crazy levels up. They level up like crazy. Like, they really have life-changing like realizations, because they realize that they're not the problem. It's just the way that they're dealing with life is a problem. So you got to have some type of stress protocol and recovery protocol. And it's not always, and this again may sound counterproductive, it's not always about going to the gym. It's not always about, going out and doing something. Sometimes it's doing nothing to relax. That's why I'm a big believer that anyone that I work with, work your fucking ass off Monday to Friday. Put the fucking work in, so that way there you can get as much of the stress handled in that regard, so you put in the work and you have that confidence that you're showing up and doing the right things, whether it's meal prep, whether it's going to the gym, whether it's just handling your stress from reading more books, or like learning new things and self-developing yourself, and doing your morning and nighttime routine for journaling. And then come to the weekend, come to those days off where you've earned it, shut things off. Don't check your phone. Who gives? Biggest thing is, if you're not working, fuck work. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to deal with anything to do with work. Like, a lot of people work 9 to 5. Come the weekend, fuck work. It's not a negative thing to say fuck work. Even me personally, I've been trying to take Saturdays off more to help me with my recovery, my stress management, and things like that. And it's not about fuck my clients or fuck my business. It's me. It's my time. I put in the work. It's time for me to relax. And, these things like that is just as beneficial for your anxiety, so you can tame it. And again, like, it's not going to change overnight. This isn't something that you're just going to add into your arsenal, then all of a sudden you're fucking reinvented and your anxiety's cured and managed and all these different things. It has to be a reoccurring pattern that you guys continuously work on, because it's not going to just change overnight. But I do believe anxiety is one of those things that is a gift. It really is a gift, because again, you don't want to be a mute. You don't want to be a robot. No, don't feel anything. Anxiety just shows that you're human, and some of us experience it on different levels. And when you learn how to control it and adapt with it, you're going to be a fucking force to be reckoned with, because you're going to understand like so much more about life. And that's the cure. That's the real cure with anxiety, is molding your relationship with it in a very positive manner, because at the end of the day, when you learn how to operate with it, your life can be fucking great. And there's a lot of studies too that show when you're genuinely excited for life, it's excitement is the same physiological pattern as having anxiety. So as we become adults, we start understanding the weight of the world and we start putting pressure on ourselves, we just subconsciously reroute that energy to a negative spiral, so it's completely fucking normal. So that's all I got for anxiety, to be honest. I feel like I'll just keep ranting about it and going on about it. I love topics when it comes to mental health, as you guys know. But to reiterate the 3 main points, number 1, physical output. You got to have some type of physical expression, something to shake off the anxiety. Even me doing this podcast, I'm always walking around. I'm doing something. If I sit down, I get antsy, So me understanding that about myself is how I operate. I go to the gym. I go for walks. I get steps. I do things that make me feel more physically tired, so my anxiety can be shaken. Number 2 is some type of some type of inward mental expression, whether it's journaling, whether it's reading, whether it's writing. I think you should do a form of both, because again, if you ingest new information, that's not only going to help you self-develop and grow as a human, but it's going to challenge your own ideologies on certain topics in life. Even if it's reading a fantasy book and just fucking off on life, that is all very good, because at least you're filling your brain with things that aren't relative to the stress patterns and anxiety in general, and it's very healthy. If you like reading fantasy novels, or like reading random fucking books, or like getting into random, even Pokemon, let's say you like to go catch fucking Pokemon, go do it. Those things are inward expression, and today's day and age with Pokemon Go and the app, you can go and fucking catch Pokemon. It's fucking sick. And then I think another form of it is expression, where you do mold the way that you talk to yourself. You do mold the way that you talk every single day, with gratitude lists, with affirmations, and, little to-do lists and things like that, because then it shows to yourself that you're not only the authority, but you are in control, And the last one is stress protocols. If you're stressed out all the time, you could have the best routine every single fucking day, the best workout regimen every single day. You could have the best meal plan protocol every single fucking day, and you can have the best intentions that you will not control. If you're sleeping like 4 to 5 fucking hours a day, if you're going to bed at really, really late, getting up really, really early, if you're dealing with a lot of stress from work, or stressing about your finances, or all these different things that you just need to kind of start putting into plan and taking charge of, it's never going to heal. Do you know what I mean? But anxiety is ultimately a fucking superpower. Every single one of you guys have it. And I think you guys should just learn how to have a better relationship with it, adapt with it, admit that you have it, and then just understand that it's all going to be okay. Just one step at a motherfucking time. And I hope you guys got some takeaways from this. But appreciate you guys all. Thanks for tuning in as you guys always do. I cannot wait to be home in the next 2.5 weeks, visit my friends and my family, see my baby niece, see my baby nephew, see my brothers, see my mom, see my family, see my friends, hit my old gym and everything in that regard. And guess what? I have a lot of anxiety about it. Not only from the standpoint that I'm going home for the first time in 4 months, but also I only got 2.5 weeks left in Mexico. And I'm like, am I living it to the best that I can to my ability? You know? So all in that right there is a lot of anxiety. So I'm going to do my stress protocols. I'm going to stick to my workout so I got my physical output. And you best believe I'm going to do my inward expression as well, my journal, my reading, my podcast, and things like that. So I appreciate you guys all. Let's have a bang of a motherfucking week. Let's just keep doing what we do best, which is show the fuck up.